Hey everybody, welcome back to Nintendo Treehouse Live at E3. I'm Sam, and I've got some very special guests with me for this segment. Ari and William from Team Cherry, who are here to show us some of the new content that's coming for Hollow Knight.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you so much for coming by. So this game is available on the eShop right now, and I'm a huge fan of Hollow Knight, so I'm really excited that we can show folks a look at, this is the new content pack that's going to be coming soon for Hollow Knight, so folks who have the game will be able to check this out soon.
Yeah, that's right. So, obviously Hollow Knight has released, and we're really excited about that. But I think players now are getting to experience that for the first time themselves. We thought for Nintendo Treehouse Live, we'll bring a new segment that people haven't seen yet. This is an upcoming content pack that we're going to release for free in the coming months. It's called Hollow Knight Gods and Glory, and William's going to play through a little bit of that today.
Fantastic. So as we're jumping into gameplay here, we should probably tell folks a little bit about what the game's about in general, and then how this content pack fits into the storyline for Hollow Knight. Sure.
So the content pack is actually something that players can access at any time in their journey in Hollow Knight. And it presents a really different way for players to take on the game. So specifically, Gods and Glory, which we'll be seeing more of here, is our take on a boss rush mode, which is a very common addition to the genre, and I think, it's a common mode in similar games in the genre. But we didn't want to just make a boss rush mode. We wanted to do it in our way. And what that meant was we wanted to integrate it completely into the game experience. We wanted to make sure there's a narrative in there. We wanted to make sure that it's all part of the knight's journey, and it's not like a separate, divided mode for them to play.
And I will say, just coming back to the concept of genre here, what I love about this game is, honestly, it feels like one of the truest representations of a Metroidvania game that I've played in a really long time, and that's a genre of gameplay that I'm very emotionally invested in. So this just feels so good, not only mechanically with how you handle the mechanics of movement and the navigation system and mapping and power-ups and all that kind of stuff, but you guys have really captured the mood for me of what really kind of makes a Metroidvania. It's very isolating, you feel very out of your depth, very scared sometimes as you're going into these spaces, but I think you've done a phenomenal job of really capturing that mood of what made the classic Metroids and Castlevania so great.
Oh, thank you. I think, look, William and I both had a fantastic time making the game, and we obviously, we just really love the history of the genre. So we just immersed ourselves as deeply as we could in it. And I think the real thing that we were trying to capture with Hollow Knight was that feeling of just being lost in this vast world and not even having a sense of how big it can possibly be. And then just exploring new areas, finding new secrets. And as you go, you just can't even feel the edges of the world you're in. It feels like this massive labyrinth. And then, of course, towards the end of the game, learning about, once you've learnt the world, getting that feeling of mastery over the labyrinth and really feeling like this is a place that you know intimately.
On that front, I really love the choice that you guys made to make the mapping system something that you really don't even get access to until fairly later on in the game. So when you get started, you're exploring these really interesting, intricate subterranean labyrinths. You don't have a map. If you want a map, you gotta find the person who's got a map, you gotta buy it. If you wanna know where you are on the map, that's another item that you've gotta pick up. So you spend a while when you're first jumping into the game really feeling like you don't have a good sense of okay, where am I? And it really adds to the creepiness as you're exploring space.
Yeah, we really love that feeling of being lost in that space, and of you having to find your own way rather than to just rely on a guide that is given to you and really learn the space intimately. But there are maps, and of course at some point you really do need to get that map.
And you're so happy once you've got them.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that when people do find those aids, they really feel like that's a valuable thing that they've found, and that's a discovery in itself.
So to speak to that a little bit further, can we talk a little bit more about the upgrade system and the different kind of things that you'll collect over the course of your journey? Yeah,
absolutely, we can. So the knight, similar to the other games in the Metroidvania genre, gets traditional power-ups, movement abilities, and then you also get a full suite of customizing sort of twists called, these are called charms, and you equip them, and they have various effects on gameplay. They can so change a spell that the knights had that's previously acquired, or they can be an aid to collecting geo, the money in the world, or they can sort of transform your movement abilities.
There's a really interesting strategic element there as well, especially when you first start out, because you've got a very limited number of slots for charms. So once you do find charms, or you find a vendor that's going to sell charms to you, you have to make a really thoughtful choice about, okay, I can't have all of these on right now. Which ones am I going to pick? You can overcharm if you're feeling bold, but that seems like a risky prospect.
Yes, you can do that. That's probably a very advanced move that I won't spoil too much about, but yeah, there is a very dangerous way to go beyond the intended limit of charms. High risk, high reward kind of option for folks who are interested.
So in a beautiful space here, Godhome, can we touch really quickly just on the HUD elements for folks who aren't familiar with the Hollow Knight?
We can. So William's actually heading into one of the new areas right now, and this is Godhome, which is sort of a hub of our Gods and Glory content, and he's actually about to enter one of the challenges. And the HUD elements you can see up there represent fairly common elements of the genre, specifically the health. It was his, were the little mask shards.
We should talk a little bit about bindings here.
That is a good point. So very quickly, William's actually got some optional challenges that are available to him in the challenge he's about to undertake. So he can make it even harder on himself if he wants to get that extra reward.
Not today, though.
But not today. He's already, I should say, just before William gets right into it, and he clearly is, he is actually undertaking quite a difficult challenge. So if he seems very focused, I think you'll soon understand.
That's fair.
Why.
We won't expect much talking out of him just yet.
Yeah, and the one other element of the HUD that I should briefly touch on is the large liquidy soul meter on the left there, and that's the resource that the knight collects throughout the journey, and that allows you to cast spells like William's doing right now, and also heal yourself as you're going along. And as you get more adept at collecting soul, you can really extend your journey by constantly healing, by keeping healthy. And it's another way that as you gain understanding of the world, you can also feel much more in control of the space.
I'd love to talk a little bit about the art style as well. One of the things I love about how you executed this game was it's got this beautiful painterly hand-drawn style, and you treated the NPCs and the enemy characters in very similar ways. So there's really no differentiator when you come up to a character to say, okay, is this an enemy, or is this going to be somebody who maybe has an item for me or some advice? And I found as I play Hollow Knight, it makes me incredibly nervous. There have been times where I've come into a cavern, I see a character, and I just back myself back out of there again, and I'm not sure I want to actually talk to them yet just to find out, okay, this person, maybe they're going to attack me, maybe they're going to be great. But it's a really great choice that kind of leaves you kind of staying on the edge of your seat as well, just with any character that you meet in the world.
Yeah, that edge of your seat, that uncertainty is something that we really love, especially in all games, but certainly it's something we tried to capture again in Hollow Knight. And obviously, if you're an adventurer in a dangerous kingdom, that would be the feeling that you'd be experiencing, this on your edge, not sure of who is a friend or a foe. And in fact, the enemy that William's fighting right now, the Dung Defender, who's a bit of a beloved boss character from the game, fits that really well in that he appears somewhat of a dangerous foe at the start, but that relationship can twist throughout the story.
Yeah, one of my favorites, and I won't say too much about them, but there's a certain little mining bug who turns up fairly early on, who's got a little pickaxe and is humming this really creepy, adorable little song, and yeah, one of my favorites.
She was also a bit of a favorite, and I think we really tried to have a lot of fun with the voice acting in this game, and I think just the little creepy singing loop that we managed to get out of her was something that people really attached to. She has I will say, a slightly morbid tale throughout the story.
A touch.
But yeah, I won't go into the details too much. And we had great fun actually doing all the voices for the characters alongside Myla, the mining bug. And William actually did the voice for the Dung Defender, who
that was a
listeners on the stream may be able to hear. So yeah, in fact, William did.
I'll just do it now.
There you go, with a recreation right there. And now he's facing the Moss Charger, which is another boss that you can encounter actually at an early point in the game. And one thing that Gods and Glory gives us is a chance to really make some of these characters that weren't such major bosses in the core game get a lot more focus and a lot more attention, and you can face them in much more challenging ways based on things like bindings and some other things we haven't revealed just yet.
And with this content pack, you're also adding some new music as well, because I know the music is something that Hollow Knight is really known for. It's really beautiful and atmospheric. Can you tell us a little bit more about the new track?
Yes, so all the music in the game is done by this fantastic composer, Christopher Larkin, who's a great friend of ours.